In front of my entire family, I exposed my ex-boyfriend with screenshots of how quickly he tried to cheat on me, just 2 weeks after begging for a second chance and swearing he'd changed. The look on his face when I showed everyone the messages he sent to what he thought was a gorgeous blonde named Jessica was absolutely priceless. Shock, embarrassment, then pure rage. But here's the kicker. Jessica was me, and I had meticulously documented every pathetic attempt he made to hook up with her, from the first message to planning their hotel rendezvous, all while telling me he was working late. But let me start from the beginning, because you need to understand how a simple suspicion turned into the most elaborate trap I've ever set, and how 20 minutes of chatting was all it took to prove that a cheater never really changes. It all began 6 months ago, on a completely ordinary Tuesday evening. I was at home, curled up on my couch with a glass of wine, mindlessly scrolling through Instagram, when I got a notification from my best friend Megan. She had sent me a screenshot with the message, "Isn't this Ryan at Monarch last night?" My heart dropped instantly. There he was, my boyfriend of 3 years, with his arm around some redhead I'd never seen before. Monday night, when he told me he was grabbing dinner with the guys from work. That has to be an old picture. I texted back immediately, my fingers trembling slightly. But deep down, I already knew. The date stamp on the Instagram story was clear, posted 12 hours ago. "Want me to ask Sarah who she is?" Megan replied. Sarah was her cousin who had taken the photo. "Yes, please." I stared at the screen, the wine in my stomach now feeling like acid. 20 minutes later, my worst fears were confirmed. The redhead was Amber, a new account executive at Ryan's company. And according to Sarah, they weren't just talking. They were kissing at the bar and left together. I remember sitting there completely still, as tears silently streamed down my face. 3 years. 3 years of building a life together, meeting each other's families, talking about marriage and kids. 3 years of me supporting his career changes, driving him to the airport at 4 a.m. for business trips, nursing him through that terrible flu last winter. 3 years. And he threw it all away for what? Some redhead he just met? But this is just the setup. You won't believe what happened next, and how deep this rabbit hole of betrayal actually went. I confronted Ryan that night when he came home. I can still picture him standing in our kitchen, his face going through a series of expressions as I showed him the photo. Surprise, then panic, then a calculated shift to indignation. "Are you spying on me now?" he snapped, as if somehow I was the one who had done something wrong. "Don't you dare turn this around," I said, my voice shaking. "Who is she, Ryan?" "She's nobody, just a coworker. Sarah doesn't know what she's talking about." "So Sarah imagined you kissing this woman and leaving with her?" That's when he switched tactics, something I would later realize was his standard playbook. He deflated, shoulders slumping, eyes suddenly wet with tears. "I'm sorry, Jess. It was a mistake. A stupid one-time mistake. I was drunk and—" "Save it." I cut him off. "Get out." The next few weeks were a blur of pain, anger, and Netflix binges with Megan bringing over ice cream and wine. Ryan called constantly, texted apologies daily, even showed up at my workplace with flowers twice. I blocked his number, returned the flowers, and tried to piece my life back together. But here's where it gets interesting. And trust me, this is important for understanding what came later. After about a month of no contact, Ryan cornered me outside my apartment building. He looked terrible, like he hadn't slept in days. His eyes were red-rimmed, his usually perfectly styled hair disheveled. "Please, just give me 5 minutes," he begged. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We sat on a bench in the small park across from my building, and he launched into what seemed like the most sincere apology I'd ever heard. "I've been in therapy," he said, his voice cracking. "I've been trying to understand why I would risk the best thing that ever happened to me. I I think I was scared. Scared of how much I love you, scared of the future we were building. He went on to explain how his parents' toxic marriage had left him with commitment issues, how he'd sabotaged every good relationship he'd ever had, how meeting Amber had been nothing, a stupid opportunity his self-destructive side couldn't resist. "I know I don't deserve another chance," he said, looking into my eyes with such apparent sincerity that I almost believed him. "But I'm asking for one anyway. I'll do anything. Couples therapy, complete transparency with my phone and computer, whatever you need. I just want to prove to you that I can be the man you deserve." I'd like to say I was strong enough to walk away, but the truth is, I still loved him. And hearing him say all the things I'd been hoping he would realize, it broke down my walls. "I need time to think," was all I said that day. But within 2 weeks, we were cautiously trying again. Ryan was like a new person. Attentive, transparent, thoughtful. He'd text me his whereabouts without my asking. Introduced me to all his new coworkers, including Amber, which was awkward but seemed like a good sign of his honesty, and even started looking at engagement rings. For 3 months, things were actually better than they'd ever been, until I noticed the first red flag. It was subtle. Ryan had been guarding his phone again. Not obviously, but I'd catch him angling the screen away when I walked into the room, or taking calls in the other room. When I asked who called, he'd say, "Just work," or "telemarketer." The pit in my stomach returned. Then came the late nights at the office, the drinks with clients that left no alcohol on his breath when he kissed me hello, the weekend emergency meeting where he came home with sand in his shoes. I tried telling myself I was being paranoid, that my trust was broken from before, and I was seeing problems where there weren't any. But deep down, I knew. The same feeling I had when I saw that Instagram photo, that sick certainty in the pit of my stomach. But this time, I didn't have proof. And without proof, Ryan would just gaslight me again, make me feel crazy for suspecting him. I needed evidence. Undeniable, concrete evidence. That's when I came up with the plan. A plan so devious, so perfectly tailored to catch Ryan in his lies, that even Megan was shocked when I told her. "You're going to do what?" she exclaimed when I explained it over brunch. "I'm going to create a fake profile and see if he takes the bait," I repeated calmly, spreading cream cheese on my bagel as if discussing the weather. "That's diabolical," she said, eyes wide. Then a slow smile spread across her face. "I love it." So that evening, while Ryan was at yet another work event, I created Jessica. Well, not Jessica. That's my name. I created Alicia Parker, 26, dental hygienist, new to the city, looking for someone to show her around. I used photos of my cousin Kayla from California, who Ryan had never met, and who was more than happy to help me catch a cheater when I explained the situation. Kayla is gorgeous, blonde, blue-eyed, with the kind of body that makes both men and women do a double take. Exactly Ryan's type, as evidenced by the fact that the infamous Amber was equally stunning. I set up profiles on 3 different dating apps that I knew Ryan used before we met. Then came the hard part, waiting to see if he was actually on them. I didn't have to wait long. Within 2 days, I got a match notification. Ryan Anderson, 31, marketing executive, 5 miles away. My heart sank and soared simultaneously, devastated at the confirmation of my suspicions, but vindicated that my instincts had been correct. His profile was clearly active and recently updated. The main photo was one taken just last month at his company retreat, an event I had attended with him. His bio read, "Work hard, play harder." Looking for someone who doesn't take life too seriously and enjoys adventure. No mention of being in a relationship, of course. I stared at my phone for a full 5 minutes, deciding what to do next. This alone was damning. He had an active dating profile while supposedly committed to rebuilding our relationship, but it wasn't enough. He could claim it was old, that he forgot to delete it, that he wasn't actually using it. I needed more. So Alicia sent the first message. New to town. And that hiking photo looks amazing. Where was it taken? Then I waited, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my fingertips as they hovered over the screen. 3 minutes. That's how long it took for Ryan to respond. 3 minutes. Hey, gorgeous. That's Eagles Bluff, about 30 minutes outside the city. Amazing views. I'd be happy to take you there sometime. And just like that, the trap was set. What happened over the next 20 minutes still makes my blood boil when I think about it. Ryan was supposedly at a business dinner, according to the text he'd sent me an hour earlier. Yet here he was, responding instantly to a stranger on a dating app. And not just responding, actively flirting, making plans, laying groundwork for a hookup. Alicia played it cool. That would be amazing. I'm still figuring out this city. Hard to meet people, you know? Ryan, I know exactly what you mean. It can be lonely. But you've met me now, so things are looking up. What brings you to town? Alicia. New job. I'm a dental hygienist. Not the most exciting career, but it pays the bills, LOL. What do you do? Ryan. Marketing exec. Much less exciting than spending the day looking at people's mouths. But it has its perks. Flexible schedule. Expense account for entertaining beautiful women like yourself. My stomach churned as I read his responses. This was my boyfriend. The man who had cried and begged for a second chance. Who had supposedly been in therapy working through his commitment issues. Here he was, not just responding to a match, but actively pursuing, using the exact same charm offensive he'd used on me 3 years ago. But the worst was yet to come. Alicia. Ha ha ha, smooth talker. So when you're not hiking or entertaining beautiful women, what do you do for fun? Ryan. Depends on the day. Gym, watching the game with friends, trying new restaurants. I travel a lot for work too, which is cool. Just got back from Miami. He had indeed just returned from Miami. A work trip I had helped him pack for. A work trip where I had FaceTimed with him each night before bed, where he had sent me missing you texts and brought me back a bracelet from a little boutique he'd found while thinking of me. Alicia, Miami sounds amazing right now. This Seattle rain is killing me. Ryan, you get used to it, or you find ways to stay entertained indoors. Alicia, oh really? What would you suggest for indoor entertainment? Ryan, depends on the company. For someone like you, I can think of a few ideas. Good wine, good conversation. See where the night leads. 20 minutes. That's all it took for my boyfriend of 3 years. The man who had sworn he'd changed. To go from matching with a stranger to setting up what was clearly intended to be a hookup. No mention of a girlfriend. No hesitation. No guilt. But I wasn't done yet. I needed this to be so undeniable that he couldn't possibly talk his way out of it. Alicia. Sounds perfect. When were you thinking? Ryan. How about this Friday? I know a great wine bar downtown. Very intimate. Or we could just meet at my place and I could cook for you. I make a mean steak. Friday. When he had told me he had a work event that would run late. Alicia. I'm not sure I'm ready to go to a stranger's place, no offense. How about the wine bar? Ryan. Smart girl. Lavoot at 8? I promise I'm not a serial killer, LOL. Just a guy who knows how to show a beautiful woman a good time. Lavoot. The same wine bar where we had celebrated our anniversary last year. Alicia. Sounds perfect. Can't wait to meet you. Ryan. Same. And just so you know what you're getting into. And then he sent a shirtless mirror selfie, taken in our bathroom, with the corner of my flowered shower curtain visible in the background. I was shaking so hard I nearly dropped my phone. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was a complete repudiation of everything he had supposedly learned, of all the promises he'd made. He wasn't just willing to cheat. He was enthusiastically pursuing it. But here's where my plan went from simple exposure to what Megan later called psychological warfare. I decided not to confront him immediately. Instead, I was going to give him just enough rope to hang himself spectacularly, and I was going to make sure there was an audience when it happened. You see, that Friday wasn't just any Friday. It was the night before we were supposed to attend his parents' anniversary party, a big event with all his family and friends present. A party where, he had hinted, he might have a special surprise for me. I had assumed he was planning to propose. Instead, I planned my own surprise. For the next 3 days, Alicia and Ryan continued to message. He sent increasingly suggestive texts, even while physically beside me in the evenings. His phone angled away as he smiled at whatever he was typing. I watched the man I loved flirt relentlessly with someone he thought was a stranger, making promises about what would happen after their drinks on Friday. Meanwhile, the real me pretended everything was normal. I kissed him goodbye in the mornings, asked about his day in the evenings, and never let on that I knew his every deception. I even expressed excitement about his parents' anniversary party, asking what I should wear, suggesting we get them a nicer gift than we'd originally planned. Friday arrived. Ryan texted me around 6 p.m. Work event running late. Might not be home until 11 or so. Don't wait up. I replied, "No problem. Have fun. Love you." Then Alicia confirmed their 8 p.m. meeting. Still on for tonight? Looking forward to meeting the man behind these amazing messages. Ryan. Absolutely. Might even cancel my later plans if things go well with us. I dressed carefully that evening, not for a date at a wine bar, but for what would come after. I wore his favorite dress of mine, did my makeup flawlessly, and drove downtown. Not to La Voûte, but to a restaurant 2 doors down, where I could see the entrance to the wine bar clearly through the window. At 7:55 p.m., Ryan arrived. He was wearing the blue button-down shirt I had given him for Christmas. He had a small gift bag in his hand, presumably for Alicia. He checked his reflection in the window, straightened his collar, and went inside. I watched as he got a table, ordered what looked like a bottle of wine, and checked his phone repeatedly. He was smiling, obviously excited to meet this beautiful blonde who had been sending him increasingly flirtatious messages. At 8:20 p.m., I saw him check his watch, frown slightly, and send a text. Alicia. Sorry, running about 30 mins behind. Promise I'm worth the wait. Ryan. No problem at all. Wine is breathing and waiting for you. At 8:45 p.m., I paid my bill and walked calmly to La Voûte. Through the window, I could see Ryan still waiting, now looking slightly concerned as he checked his phone again. I took a deep breath, smoothed my dress, and walked in. The look on Ryan's face when he saw me walk through the door of that wine bar will stay with me forever. First confusion, like his brain couldn't process what his eyes were seeing. Then the dawning horror of realization. Then panic. Jessica, what are you... How did you... He stammered, half rising from his seat. I smiled pleasantly, as if running into my boyfriend at a wine bar was the most normal thing in the world. Ryan? What a surprise. I thought you had a work event tonight. It finished early, so I just stopped for a quick drink, he managed, hurriedly putting his phone face down on the table. Alone? I asked, gesturing to the 2 wine glasses, the small gift bag beside his elbow. I was meeting a coworker to discuss a project. Really? Which coworker? I asked, still smiling, still calm. You wouldn't know him. New guy. Him? I pulled out my phone. That's strange, because according to this, you're meeting Alicia. Blonde, 26, dental hygienist, new in town. The blood drained from his face as I turned my phone to show him the dating app conversation, the one he thought he was having with a beautiful stranger. but had actually been having with me all along. "I can explain," he started, but I cut him off. "There's nothing to explain, Ryan. It's all right here." I scrolled through the messages, stopping at his shirtless selfie. Nice picture, by the way. I especially like our shower curtain in the background. People at nearby tables were starting to stare. The waitress hovered uncertainly near the bar. "Jessica, please," he hissed. "Let's talk about this at home." "Why? So you can lie to me in private instead of here?" "No, I think here is perfect." I remained standing, looking down at him. "You know what's really pathetic? It only took you 20 minutes. 20 minutes to start planning a hookup with someone you thought was a stranger, while you were supposedly in therapy, working on your commitment issues." His face flushed with anger now. "You set me up. You catfished me. That's crazy behavior, Jessica. Classic Ryan, trying to flip the script, make me the villain. But I was prepared. No, what's crazy is begging for a second chance, swearing you've changed, talking about marriage and a future together, all while actively trying to cheat." Again, I picked up the gift bag beside him and peeked inside. A small jewelry box. "Is this for Alicia? Or were you planning to give me the same gift tomorrow at your parents' party?" He said nothing, jaw clenched. "That's what I thought. Well, don't worry about the party tomorrow. I'll let your mom know we won't be attending." As I turned to leave, he grabbed my wrist. "You're overreacting. It was just flirting. Nothing would have happened." I looked pointedly at his hand on my wrist until he released me. "Nothing would have happened because Alicia doesn't exist. But you didn't know that. Your intentions were perfectly clear." I leaned down and whispered, "We're done. For good this time. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't show up at my apartment." Then I walked out, head high, leaving him sitting there with his wine for two and a jewelry box meant for a woman who no longer existed, neither Alicia nor the Jessica who had loved him. But this isn't where the story ends. Remember that anniversary party I mentioned? Well, I did end up attending, just not with Ryan. You see, after I left the wine bar, I went straight to Megan's apartment and told her everything. We stayed up half the night, alternating between tears, mine, and creative suggestions for Ryan's painful demise, mostly Megan's. Somewhere around 2 a.m., fueled by righteous anger and perhaps a bit too much tequila, we came up with phase 2 of the plan. "His parents actually like you," Megan pointed out. "They should know what kind of son they raised." She was right. Ryan's parents had always been kind to me, had welcomed me into their family. His mother had even once told me, during a kitchen conversation at Thanksgiving, that she was relieved Ryan had finally found someone who made him want to settle down, if only she knew. So the next morning, slightly hungover but resolute, I called Ryan's mother. "Jessica, I was just thinking about you. Are you and Ryan still planning to come a bit early today to help set up?" she asked cheerfully. "Actually, Mrs. Anderson, that's why I'm calling. I wanted to let you know that Ryan and I won't be coming together. We've broken up." "Oh no, what happened? Did you two have a fight? You know, couples fight. It's normal." "It wasn't a fight," I said carefully. "Ryan was meeting other women. I caught him last night, waiting for a date at La Voûte. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then, I see. I'm sorry to tell you this, especially today of all days. I know how important this celebration is to you and Mr. Anderson." Another pause. Then surprisingly, "Will you still come? Without Ryan?" This caught me off guard. I wouldn't want to make things awkward. "Jessica, we've always thought of you as family. What Ryan did, that's on him, not you. Besides," and here her voice took on a steely quality I'd never heard before, "I'd like to hear exactly what happened. Mother to daughter, mother to daughter." The words brought unexpected tears to my eyes. "I'll be there," I promised. What happened at that anniversary party became the stuff of family legend, though not Ryan's family anymore, thankfully. I arrived early as originally planned, feeling awkward but determined. Ryan's mother hugged me tightly at the door, whispered, "I'm so sorry," in my ear, and immediately put me to work arranging flowers as if nothing had changed. His father was equally warm, though I caught him giving me sad, sympathetic glances when he thought I wasn't looking. Ryan arrived an hour later, just as guests were beginning to show up. He froze when he saw me arranging champagne flutes on a table, his face cycling through confusion, anger, and panic. Before he could approach me, his mother intercepted him, led him to a corner, and had what appeared to be a very intense conversation. I couldn't hear what was said, but Ryan's defensive posture and his mother's stiff back told me everything I needed to know. The party proceeded with an undercurrent of tension. Ryan stayed on the opposite side of the room from me, drinking heavily and checking his phone compulsively, probably trying to contact the still non-existent Alicia, or perhaps lining up his next victim. Then came the toasts. Ryan's father spoke beautifully about 35 years of marriage, about commitment through hard times, about the example they had tried to set for their children. Ryan squirmed visibly in his seat. Several family friends raised glasses to the happy couple. And then, to my complete shock, Ryan's mother called on me to speak. "Jessica has become like a daughter to us," she said, her voice carrying across the suddenly quiet room. "And I've asked her to say a few words." All eyes turned to me, including Ryan's, which were now filled with unmistakable fear. I stood slowly, glass in hand, my heart pounding. This hadn't been part of the plan, but looking at Ryan's mother's encouraging face, at the assembled family and friends who had welcomed me so warmly over the years, I knew exactly what to say. "When I think about what makes a successful relationship," I began, "I think about honesty, trust, mutual respect." I let my gaze drift to Ryan for just a moment. He looked like he might be sick. George and Martha have exemplified these values for 35 amazing years. They've shown that real love isn't just about the exciting beginning, but about choosing each other, every day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. I raised my glass. "To George and Martha, thank you for showing us what true commitment looks like." The crowd echoed, "To George and Martha," and drank. I caught Ryan's mother's eye across the room. She gave me a small, sad smile and a tiny nod. I thought that would be the end of it. A dignified, subtle way to make my point without causing a scene. But Ryan, it seemed, had other ideas. As the party continued and the alcohol flowed, he grew increasingly agitated. I was chatting with his cousin Emma when he finally approached me, swaying slightly. "Can we talk?" he slurred. "Privately?" "I don't think that's a good idea," I said calmly. "Why are you even here?" he hissed, loud enough that several nearby conversations paused. "To humiliate me in front of my family?" "Ryan," his father's stern voice cut in. "That's enough." "No, it's not enough." Ryan's voice rose. "She set me up. She catfished me, and now she's turning you all against me." The room went dead silent. Every eye was on us. This was not how I wanted things to go. I had hoped for a dignified exit from Ryan's life, not a messy public scene, but he had forced my hand. "Is that what happened, Jessica?" Ryan's mother asked quietly. I took a deep breath. After I caught Ryan cheating the first time, he begged for another chance, said he was in therapy, that he'd changed. But then I noticed the signs again. Guarding his phone, late nights, obvious lies. So yes, I created a dating profile using my cousin's photos to see if he was back on the apps. He matched with me within 2 days. Murmurs spread through the room. Ryan's face was a mottled red. "But that's not all," I continued, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "I have the receipts." And with that, I pulled out my phone, opened the dating app, and handed it to Ryan's mother. His father looked over her shoulder as they scrolled through the increasingly explicit conversation between Ryan and Alicia, culminating in the shirtless selfie taken in our bathroom, and the plans to meet at La Voûte, all time-stamped, all undeniable. The look of disappointment on his parents' faces was devastating. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for Ryan. Almost. "This was the night before your anniversary party," I explained quietly. "He told me he had a work event. He was actually waiting for Alicia at a wine bar with a gift." "What gift?" his mother asked sharply. "A jewelry box. Small, from Jensen's on 5th. Ryan's father closed his eyes briefly. "The family ring," he said. "The one your grandmother left for Ryan to give to the woman he would marry," his mother finished, her voice breaking slightly. "We gave it to him last week when he said he was going to propose." The silence in the room was deafening. Ryan stood frozen, exposed not just as a cheater, but as someone who would have used a cherished family heirloom as part of his deception. Finally, Ryan's cousin Emma broke the silence. "Well, this is awkward," she said, raising her glass. "But I'd like to make a toast to Jessica for having the self-respect to walk away and the class to still show up today. We'll miss you." "To Jessica!" several voices echoed, and I felt a surge of unexpected warmth. These people who had welcomed me as family were choosing to support me, even against one of their own. Ryan stormed out shortly after, but I stayed until the end, helping clean up, exchanging contact information with several of his family members who made it clear our relationship wouldn't end just because mine with Ryan had. As I was leaving, Ryan's mother pressed something into my hand, a small velvet pouch. "I can't accept this," I said, realizing it contained jewelry. "It's not the ring," she assured me. "That stays in the family. This is different, something I want you to have." At home later, I opened the pouch to find a delicate silver bracelet with a small pendant. Attached was a note, "For the daughter of my heart. May you find someone worthy of you. Love, Martha." It's been 6 months since that day. I heard through mutual friends that Ryan moved to Chicago for a fresh start, though I suspect his parents made it clear he'd worn out his welcome here. His cousin Emma and I meet for coffee regularly. His mother calls every few weeks just to check in. As for me, I'm finally dating again, cautiously, carefully, but with an absolute certainty about what I will and won't accept in a relationship. I wear Martha's bracelet often, a reminder that family isn't always blood, and that standing up for yourself doesn't mean standing alone. Oh, and I deleted all the dating apps from my phone. If I'm going to meet someone new, it's going to be in person, where there's no hiding behind screens or carefully curated photos. No more games, no more traps, no more fake profiles, just honest connection, or nothing at all. The hardest lesson I learned from all this wasn't that people can lie and cheat. It was that second chances are gifts, not obligations, and that some people will never value what they have until it's gone, and sometimes not even then. So if you're watching this and wondering if you should give that ex another chance, ask yourself, are they sorry they did it or just sorry they got caught? Because in my experience, 20 minutes is all it takes to show someone's true colors. And once you've seen them, no amount of tears, promises, or family heirloom rings can or should make you unsee them. Trust your gut, value yourself, and know that sometimes the most liberating words in the English language are simply, "We're done."